Good, good. We had a pretty quiet week last week, Jay. Generally, as podcasts go, but it's got a lot on. We've got a lot on this week.
Yeah. I mean,
We've got a lot of
it's
stuff
that
to go
time of
through.
year, man. May always feels like the sort of like
Calm
the
before the storm.
epilogue, I guess, right? Yeah, the calm before the
Oh.
storm. Is that the right word? Epilogue? Epilogue's at the end or the
As
beginning?
that's the end, but you could
What's the
argue that
other
it's
one?
the epilogue
Prologue.
of the first busy part of the year.
Yeah,
But yeah, prologue.
we'll
Yeah,
go with prologue.
very good.
Hmm.
Have you? So we didn't do one last week. So are you more excited to do this week, or the same, or not even?
I mean, I don't know.
It's all neutral.
I feel like
It's all
I feel like
beige.
I start one place and I end another, so I don't know. We'll see.
It all exists. All right. Well, Jay, let's just jump right into it.
Please.
This is the TGO show, a gaming podcast about video games with Jay over. Hold on. There.
No.
Down there. Up there. That way.
Other way.
That way.
There we go.
Jay's up there.
You're down there.
Jay's up there. And yeah, we record every week or try to discuss lots of things. Just a bit of a different opinion, you know, compared to your stereotypical dude. Did you see some of these gaming journalists reacting to this Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of Sony America, I think, email
I don't
about
know.
abortion? So obviously there's a lot.
Wow.
We're not too
Wow.
political, and there's lots of abortion
Talk.
things going on in America
Roe
right now.
versus Wade. Yeah.
And basically,
I know. I don't think I
Jim
saw
Ryan
this.
sent out an email just sort of saying we as a company and as an entity we don't we obviously don't take sides sort of thing. And anyway, it seemed pretty normal email to me that a CEO would do. And then every single podcast is like, oh, it's so rank. Why is the CEO emailing his company? And it's like,
Really?
he's the CEO.
Ah,
Mate, it's bizarre.
okay. I'm surprised I didn't see
Anyway.
that. I'm on Twitter all the time. I feel like I should have saw that. But I obviously missed it.
It was about, he mentioned something about his cats. That's why it blew up. Because apparently, I don't know.
Oh, I'm surprised I didn't see it.
Mate, check it out. They'll definitely be out there. So
Okay.
Anyway,
Interesting.
we're not here to talk about that
Necessarily.
So yeah, and I'm Nick. That's, by the way, Jay's the Goldilocks gamer, and I'm the Night Owl, as they say.
Yeah.
Jay, actually, a quick one.
Uh-oh.
First of all, this week I had. So here's what's happened. Okay, I went off gluten because I got grumpy from it. I then was pretty consistently off it for at least a year. And then I wanted to get a test just to see if I was actually allergic or whatever. So I had to eat gluten for 3 weeks. So I felt awful for 3 weeks. I've stopped eating gluten now. It turns out I'm all fine, apparently. So that was a waste of time and pain. So I'm back off the gluten now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And Jay, the tiredness I got while the gluten was going through my system was unbelievable. I was nearly falling asleep.
So you are gluten
in the
intolerant
afternoon. Definitely intolerant, but like not officially. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, like the tests say I'm not. The tests basically don't tell you if you're gluten intolerant.
Right.
They just tell you if you're. I forget what the word is. There's a word for being like not being able to eat gluten.
Okay.
So I'm not that.
Well, what's wrong with you then?
Yeah, I'm just intolerant. Just don't like it.
Oh, okay. Your boy doesn't agree with it. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So you've got some stuff like that, haven't you?
Well, yeah, a bunch of stuff that I'm now figuring out I have more of. So
yeah,
it's like Goldilocks, totally my fucking thing. It's just like it's right in the middle. It's not allergic to it and not allergic to it. It's somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
You know, like I can't have it because it mucks me up, but it won't kill me, kind of thing. You know.
Can you eat porridge?
Yeah.
Just Goldilocks.
Porridge is great.
That's what I'm relating.
That's my favourite.
Yeah, okay. Oh, good. Okay. So yeah. So anyway,
I just can't have chocolate or caffeine.
Right. Which isn't a bad thing, Jay. They're not great for you.
Or alcohol, or spicy
You don't drink
food, or
anyway.
fried food, or tomatoes or mint or garlic.
There we go.
I now can't have
Can
any
you
of
have
those
minor
things.
elements? Can you have minor
Well, I
elements?
kind of have to because my toothpaste is mint, and I can't really get rid of that too much at the minute. So.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, give us a
And
break.
most of the
And
food
to
I
be
eat
fair,
has
you're not
tomato
eating
in
that,
it.
are you? So
No, but it can still affect it a little bit, unfortunately.
Sure. So anyway, long story short, well, long story long,
Yeah.
I was really tired, and then I had a lot of work to do and stuff, so I had to push through this tired wall, Jay, that I kept hitting at like 10 o'clock, especially in bed. I just like never in my life have I not been able to stay awake if I want to, right? And I just couldn't stay awake. So
I do
anyway,
that
I
all the
pushed
time.
past.
I just fall asleep
What?
while I'm on my phone.
Oh, bro. And anyway, I pushed past this wall on Monday, and then I discovered this whole new existence where I was constantly tired, but I almost kind of had energy, but it was just kind of like an adrenaline thing, right? And like you feel like you're on the edge of a breakdown at any moment. And then I pushed through that, and so I had like 2 days of just very little sleep, and then last night I got loads of sleep. So basically, I'm feeling pretty good for the podcast. That's all I was gonna say. Jay's putting his thumbs up for the audio listeners out there.
Yeah, it just reminds me of Mike Myers when he's just sort of like.
I want an Austin Powers 4. I don't know about you, Jay.
Well, Mike Myers just done his new Netflix show, hasn't he?
Is that why he's been promoting and stuff?
Yeah, it's called like something beginning with a P. It's like Perverance or something. It's like a really odd name.
Is that out? Or...
Yeah, it's him like playing loads of different characters, like much like Austin Powers.
Is it funny or?
It looks okay. I've added it to my list, so I will watch it eventually.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll
It
check
out.
it out.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
weird because I think it came out right in the middle of all this weird political stuff coming up, so nobody knew
Sure.
it was out. I remember seeing someone on Twitter being like, "How is nobody talking about Mike Myers' new show?" It's just like, what's going on?
That must be one of the first projects he's done in ages.
Yeah, I think this is like his comeback thing or whatever.
Right. Okay.
I think that was the whole point.
Got you. Do you know? Ooh. Yeah. I almost want to say there was a Love Guru sequel, but I can't confirm that.
No, I can't. I don't remember
No?
if there was a Love Guru sequel. No.
Okay. Jay, who is the last person you see stood on the porch attending the funeral in Avengers Endgame?
Hang on. Before you even give me
one of these answers is fucking stupid.
Well,
and
I know
they've got
who
that
is
as
there.
the second suggestion.
I want to say it's the young boy who. Oh, I know. Right, go on. Just say him because I'm trying to remember exactly.
I mean,
there's
you're
a
gonna
boy
get
there.
it from this because
I think it's from Iron Man 3. There was like
I
a
know
boy
who you're
that.
talking about. I know who you're talking about. He meets in the shack or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
So the card says Gamora, Nick Fury, Phil Coulson, and Vision. I mean,
yeah, I think they're all there. I want to say Nick Fury is probably the. Well, no, if I can see it I can literally see the shot in my head. Nick Fury, Vision, Coulson, and
incredible piece of music that scene has.
Who else?
Incredible.
Coulson and
Vision.
No, who else? Keep going.
Gamora.
I want to say it's either Coulson or Nick Fury. If I had to put my life on it, I'd probably say Coulson. I'd probably say Nick Fury.
It is Nick Fury.
Yeah, thank God for that. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Jay, I thought I mean, 3 of those people are dead.
No.
I mean, I know they're not because they all come back or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right, moving on. Now we've got a lot to get through, Jay. I think. No, we have got a lot to get through. I was gonna say, Jay. Oh, I shouldn't say that. But then we always talk about games about getting through them, don't we? So yeah, keep it with the theme. Just want to quickly let you know as well. I've been re-watching Prepared to Try. I think you watched that back in the day, didn't you? On IGN. The 3 British guys play through Dark Souls.
Was it Brit? Oh, yeah. No,
On
I do. I do remember that. Yeah.
It's good, mate. I got to be honest. It's the only YouTube series I would consider re-watching, and it's worth it.
Interesting.
But anyway, Jay, let's start with you.
Yeah.
What's been going on? Oh no, please take us to topic 1 page, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also, I'm surprised you remembered to fade us in, if I'm honest, because like,
No, I remembered. I was looking at the clock. Don't worry.
yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Do you know what? I've been listening to the Always Sunny podcast, and it's great. It's arguably better than the show, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And
I still need to watch the rest of that. I got up to like series maybe. Oh god, maybe either 5 or 7, somewhere in that ballpark. I can't remember, and I just stopped watching it. What are they on now? Like series 20?
yeah, like 15 or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
I got to I struggled watching it even when it was like I think
Jay,
I maybe came out of it
go on.
maybe a series after
DeVito.
DeVito came into it. There we go.
Bro, I'm the same as you. I've tried to
Yeah.
watch that show like 6 times.
It's very hard.
I just don't find it that funny.
No, it's a very particular type of humour. Yeah, very
Can
particular.
can
very
you guess
meta.
can you guess from Norwich who loves it? I have a high school group of friends. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
I mean, I guess I don't know. Hard to say. It could be any of them.
Leash and Paul.
Oh,
love
okay,
it.
sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Then?
Oh, yeah. And they were saying on the podcast that like why would we introduce the show? You read the description. You know what this is.
Yes. You came here for a reason, type thing. Yeah.
So in that sense, maybe we shouldn't do an introduction. But alas, Jay, what have you been up to this week? What's been guaning?
Honestly, not a lot of console stuff necessarily. Because we haven't recorded in a while, it's been a while since I've actually remembered this stuff. But I attempted to play Tales of Arise to be like, oh, I can just finish it now, you know. And then I realised I needed to like, much like Final Fantasy 13, there's like a grind section where you get to a point where there's almost like a point of no return, where if you go beyond where you are, you can't come back. And then you realise, oh crap, I've now got to fight level things that are like 20 levels above me, so I forgot to grind, kind of thing. But no, I looked up a guide and they were like, yeah, you need to grind here for like another 20 levels and then you're good to go, basically. So I think I've leveled up like maybe 14, 15 times so far, so I've still got a little way to go, but it didn't take me that long actually. It only took me about 3 hours to level up 15-ish times. So yeah, I'll get there eventually. It's just going to take me a while, very slowly but surely.
So do you know how long it's going to take, or what level?
I mean, once I get to the right level, it shouldn't take me longer than a day. Not really. So maybe another 2 days.
No, sorry, I meant as in like, do you know how long it'll take you to get to that level?
Not that long. I mean, it took, like I said, it only took me about 3 hours to get level up 15 times, but to get to the one I want to get to, another 5 levels. I mean, it'll probably take me another 3 or 4 hours.
See, Jay, you say it's not that long. That seems like a lifetime to me in terms of.
Well, it's like 2 to 4 podcasts, depending.
Yeah, no. I mean, 1 Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, sure.
So yeah, I was kind of in a little bit of like an RPG mood, but very briefly, I got shot down. I was like, oh no, I need to grind on this thing. But honestly, I've just been playing mobile games for the last like 2 weeks. Specifically, one mobile game, which is a new one called Dislyte, spelled Dislyte. Have you heard of this? You might have seen it advertised all over the internet.
I think you might have spoken about it before, no?
Yeah, we spoke about it probably about 7-ish, 8 months ago.
Oh.
Because what they did was they released it sort of in like early access on Android. And so there's basically been like 8 months of people grinding the game and like understanding how the game works and like getting really good at it and, you know, leveling up their accounts or whatever. And then what they did was they were like, right, we're going to release it on iOS in 8 months from now, and we're going to get ready for that. I don't know why it took so long to go from Android to iOS, but there we are. And so they did that. But so what they've done is there's sort of like 2 separate servers. They've got the original server for the people who played it for the 8 months already, and then they've got a new server that's sort of like beside that only has new players in it. So it's sort of like, you know, one server that's already 8 months ahead and another one beside it that's just beginning. So they're sort of like traveling at a similar speed. But eventually they'll merge, because at some point there's only so far you can get, right? And at some point in the future they're going to merge the servers, and then it's going to be one big happy family, and we'll be able to, because there's a lot of like PvP content. So And if they were to give you, if we were to play the people who had already been playing for 8 months straight away, it wouldn't be a very fair PvP aspect, I don't think. So that's part of the reason why they did that. It sort of gives the newbies
what
a
is the game,
chance.
Jay?
So the game is a gacha game, much like other ones I've played previously. This one, I think the premise is, imagine sort of like a cyberpunky type world or city that I think gets invaded by, it sort of like gets invaded by a weird like alien type thing, and then random strangers like get specifically chosen to become or like inhabit the powers of Greek gods, Norse gods, like different gods from different types of mythologies. So it's like a mixture between cyberpunk and Smite.
Okay.
But so the gods are like very fashionable. So that's like the cyberpunk style part of it as well. That it's all like very fashionable. Like imagine like gods in modern day, but if they were dressed like they were walking down like a catwalk,
Paris.
basically. Paris Fashion Week or whatever, New York Fashion Week. So it does like this. The style is that sort of aspect, right? So it's godly mixed with like really cool modern fashion. And the idea is that you're supposed to collect these gods and fight off this alien invasion, which is like the other half of it, right? Which is like, so this alien invasion is sort of like these like crystals and like, have you seen the film Arrival?
Yes.
Very similar to that, like in the way that the shapes of certain alien creatures are and stuff like that. Like it's all that kind of like aesthetic. And you basically, that's like the campaign of the game is just to fight through waves until you defeat the boss, kind of thing, So I think there's what's that?
Incredible film.
Oh yeah, top 10 easy. There's 12 campaign chapters, and in each one there's 8 missions. So whatever 8 times 12 is how many missions there are.
96.
Yeah, but then you times that by, there's also an easy version of the campaign, a hard, and then what's called purgatory mode, which is like extremely hard essentially. I'm now making my way through hard, so I'm literally on the last mission of hard to get to purgatory, so I'm almost there. And then there's a bunch of other other side stuff you can do. So you can do PvP, so you can versus other people's teams of 5, and you have to sort of like level them up and collect gear so they can get more powerful over time. And the way to collect gear is to fight off these 3 specific alien sort of like bosses, I guess. One's called Kronos, one's called Apep, one's called Fafnir. So they're like almost like, I think they're based off of Greek gods as well, or like
the Kronos, Fafnir, I think is a Titan, I think.
Yeah, so it's like a similar sort of like Titan-y type thing, right? Yeah. So you fight those, you get the gear to be able to upgrade better, and so on. So it's like a loop of like, having to grind this section, grind this section, grind this section, just so you can level up in different ways, get more powerful in different ways, and that's sort of where the time aspect comes in. You log in every day, you do your dailies, you chip away, you get a little bit higher level, a little bit further in progression, and you just keep going until you've unlocked everything, essentially. But there are achievements in game, and quests and missions that give you like really, really cool rewards, and I think there's literally like hundreds of them to do. So there's a lot of like replayability, I guess, just coming, but there's like loads of different reasons to want to come back and keep playing it every day. And then eventually they'll do events as well. So yeah, go on.
What sort of events?
So they've got one on at the minute where you have to do certain missions throughout the day, and then they'll give you up to 5, or they'll give you 5 prizes that can be won out of a total of like 60 or something each day. So I think the event lasts 15 days, so as long as you log in for 10 days and do your dailies, you're guaranteed to get all 60 or something.
Oh, that's nice.
So stuff like that, and then there'll be events in the future that require you to or that will make it easier for you to roll the characters that you want, because the gacha system's quite not forgiving in that there's a pity system. So as long as you rolled 120 times without getting a single legendary, you're guaranteed to get one on the last pull.
Oh, that's good.
But to be able to pull 120 times take a lot of resources and a lot of time, so it's best just to save and hope for a rate up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost a bit useless, right?
Like, I mean, I've gotten a fair few, but I've gotten lucky, honestly, at this point.
So in terms of the missions, then, so like, is it like an older standard mobile game where you can only do like a mission a day sort of thing?
Yeah. So there's a stamina system. Yeah, that's like the annoying bit, but
right. So yeah, so they've got that in place, so you can right, fine, and
Yeah, I
then
think you get one stamina back every 5 minutes.
okay,
So let's say you have 100 max. That's 500 minutes for you to wait to go from 0 to full,
right,
which is what, like 6 hours or something. But
right,
luckily, there are ways for you to get free stamina by playing the game. So if I do certain dailies, I can like gain a lot of stamina back, and it just sort of rolls into a bunch of more stamina and more stamina. I can just keep going throughout the night. So part of the reason why I've been playing it so much is because I can start playing it at like half 5, 6 when I get out of the shower, and I won't have ran out of stamina until like easily 9. Just doing stuff. I can just gain more and do all sorts of stuff. So I'm just grinding it at the minute. I'm getting pretty close to like max level on a few characters, so getting there, but a long way to go. I mean, there's even an achievement to log in for 1,000 days, and obviously the people who have been playing it for 8 months still haven't got that yet. So
well, no, because that's like 3 years.
yeah, 1,000 days is a little over 3 years. So my other mobile game I play, Alchemy Stars, is almost at a year anniversary. I think it's the year anniversary next month, and they're doing an event for it currently. And I've logged in for 340 days straight. Haven't missed a single day. Like I've gotten up, made sure to log in for 340 days in a row.
That's too
I'm
much commitment for me,
dedicated.
Jay.
I'm
That is
dedicated.
you are
It's a good
dedicated,
game,
but
dude. It's a good game. That's how you
that's a
know it's
lot of
good. If you've
time.
logged in 340 days and done your dailies every day, I wake up, I do my dailies, and then when I get home, I do my secondary lot of dailies, and then I wait till the morning again. I do that every day. I do it for two
That
games now. I do it for Dislight and I do it
that's
for Alchemy Star.
no, I like the routine. Don't get me wrong,
It's
right?
honestly
Like, I
like
mean,
really nice because it gives me I don't know don't want to say this because it does sound a bit stupid, but it gives me like a purpose almost.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It definitely motivates me to want to go to bed, to then wake up and do my stuff, and it also makes me want to like get through the day so I can then do my second lot of stuff. So it's just like
Yeah,
a good motivation to like do well during the day, or to
yeah.
like get stuff done.
I don't see it that differently to me being like, oh, I haven't got an Xbox, but I should go do my rewards for the
It's
day or
kind of like a
whatever it is.
job, but like the best kind because you're just getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like there's not necessarily a drawback. Like it's not wasting time because you're still benefiting from it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like I
yeah.
always hate people making that argument about playing games is a waste of time. I definitely do feel like that a lot, but I feel like as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying it, then you're not wasting anything.
Oh yeah, I mean that's no different to anyone saying like films are a waste of
Yeah,
time or
exactly.
music's a
Yeah,
waste of
I
time.
hate all
Like,
that. Oh, it bugs me.
ugh.
Yeah,
That's
man.
cool, man.
Like
So
I say,
okay, so
I'm playing it right now. I'm still doing my dailies.
oh great, fantastic. Well, we've got Jay's divided
Well,
attention.
no, it's not like it takes about half an hour to do 10 runs, so I could probably get through at least 2 while I'm here. So
Okay.
not
No, I'm
gonna
only joking.
it's
It
not
doesn't
gonna
bother
take away
me.
too much.
So question for you
Please.
on a meta level,
Uh
to kind of relate it to like our trends and what we play and stuff.
oh.
It's interesting because as soon as you sort of said to me, well, the whole gacha system is gacha, right? The whole
Yeah,
gacha system,
Gacha. Gotcha.
the whole gacha system just breeds anxiety to me because
Yeah.
it's like the live service thing where like what you're jumping into. So what's curious to me, Jay, is that you clearly enjoy the loop, which is interesting because
Yeah, the loop is
what
it. That is pretty
yeah.
much it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
I like a finito. I like a finish. I like
oh,
an
I
end.
see. Yeah, no,
You know what I
I like the
mean?
fact that it doesn't end.
Right, which is so interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, do you know what, Jay? It sounds like a comfort blanket, and I mean that in a positive
yeah.
way, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's totally
like
what it is.
a film that you rewatch when you get home from school, like your Hot Fuzz. It
Yeah, it's
sounds
just
like,
comfy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just get in, like, I know this game, I know what I want, I know
Yeah.
what I'm
Muscle
getting.
memory type thing, yeah.
Yeah.
You know your way around it, so it doesn't take too much out of your brain capacity or whatever. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, totally,
Um,
totally.
you were saying about how like the gacha thing is. Were you saying it was like more anxiety just because? Why is it Why is there anxiety?
yeah,
Just because there's no finish?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
So I'm
technically
like,
there is a
oh,
finish.
yeah,
It's just once you are finished, you can keep going if you want to.
sure.
So I
Which
see
I
what you
don't
mean,
mind
but
as
for me to be
much.
able to finish, it would. Oh man, I'd either have to pay a hell of a lot of money or just spend literally about 1,000 days on it. I'm actually once I get that 1,000-day achievement, I'll be very happy. I don't see myself doing it, but I hope the game lasts that long. Because there are currently gacha games and other type RPGs, that mobile games that have been going. I think the longest one's been going for 7 years now, 7 or 8 years, and I think the second longest is maybe 4 or 5. So it could happen. They're a good company because the company who made this, um, twofold. They had to make the game for iOS during lockdown, for the original first lot of lockdown, and then they had to release the actual iOS game while China is now currently still in lockdown, because they're now in like a third or fourth lockdown, aren't they? So they've had
Yeah,
to
yeah,
literally
yeah.
release the game from their homes. They're not been able to like have the resources, and it's probably one of the best like gacha launches I've ever seen. Like it is successful as shit. They went from So they had like a pre-registration like event basically, where if you went on the website, you
Sure.
pre-registered, you got a bunch of free stuff, and as long as they had a certain number of pre-registrations, they'd give you a certain amount of rewards for everybody as long as there were a certain number. And I remember like a month or two before the game came out on iOS, they only had like 100,000 people sign up, which is a lot, but it's not that many for a gacha game. And then literally
Sure.
with like a few days left to go, it got to like over 2 million sign-ups. So there's a
That's
lot. There's
crazy.
millions of people playing this game currently.
What for these games, Jay? Is it Korean market driven? Is it Chinese
Yeah. So
Asian
this
market
specifically,
driven, or like what?
the company who made this game is a Chinese company. I'd say the largest group of people who play these games is definitely the Asian market, and then second largest is just the West. So that being Europe and America.
Okay.
So whatever you want to call that, basically. You know?
Do we include Korea in the Asian
Yeah,
market?
100%. Korea,
Yeah.
China, Japan, and I
Fine.
guess the
Oh,
Philippines
Japan's in
usually.
Asia?
Yes.
Oh, that's not a trick question. My geography's awful.
Please
I'm
tell
just
me you're joking.
nah, but like I know it's in Asia, but like when you think about the location of Asia, because like
Yes.
Russia's kind of Asia as well. It's all rather complicated, really, isn't it?
Sure.
Like anyway,
Jesus Christ.
anyway,
I can't believe you just said that. You sound like a right tit.
anyway.
Oh my god.
At least I'm honest.
Yeah, no. I actually like to think to myself that my geography's pretty good, but
Oh no, it is. But what I don't get is so like Asia's ginormous.
it's
Then you've got
yeah,
Africa, which is
well actually
separate.
Africa's the biggest continent, and then I think it's Asia.
Well,
It
I
just
kind
depends
of
on
get
if you
like
do it by land mass or like end to end mass. It's hard to say.
sure, but like I get the Africa thing because you can kind of see the outline of it, right? But
Africa's a
like
lot bigger than you
Asia and
think, by the
Europe
way.
has like a bit of a mix, and then you have obviously Australia or whatever that's Oceania, which you get because
Oceania.
it's off on the distance. But then you've got North America, South America, which doesn't make any fucking sense because like North America has Canada and Alaska anyway,
Yeah.
and like why it just you know what I mean? Like, but you can kind of see the different like oh that's the top bit, that's the bottom bit. But anyway, I don't know.
Sure.
Asia's complicated. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
So
Moving on.
yeah, I see myself playing this game for a very long time. And there was a bunch of other mobile games coming out between now and the end of this year, or maybe even next year as well. One of those being Diablo Immortal, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to now.
Jay, please stop. Please, we're gonna
Why?
get death threats. We're gonna get death threats.
Well, okay, so this is the thing. I remember being on that bandwagon of like people shitting on Diablo Immortal just because it's like a mobile game or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
since then, I've gotten into the community, and it's great. The mobile game, community, I guess.
Let's be honest. If Diablo 4 was out and it was great, nobody would give a shit anyway, would
100%.
they?
The only
Right?
reason
It's
Diablo Immortal will actually do well in any capacity is because Diablo 4 isn't out yet. And that is pretty much the
what
only
you think
reason
people
why I
will
want to
crave
play
that.
it, is because I'm in the mood for Diablo and Diablo 4 isn't out yet. I need my fix. I'm a bit worried though if I play Diablo Immortal I then won't be in the mood for 4, but I definitely will be.
Jay, chill out about that. That ain't coming out
Yeah,
till
I know.
2024 anyway, so don't
2020,
worry about
yeah,
that.
somewhere between there.
You,
Although
you
it
know I
is an
like to.
alpha,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, but yeah, look, tell you what, I'm looking forward to your review of it.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait. I guess so.
Is it?
What?
Is
Go
it
on.
got? Do you know if it's got like a microtransaction system in it, or is
Oh
it very much
god.
just a
Yeah,
Diablo
no, it
game on
will.
mobile?
It will.
Is it free?
Yeah, free to play. So there will be
Uh,
microtransactions. Yeah. I mean, there's microtransactions on this. There's microtransactions on every game. If the game is free to
not
play,
every.
there is aspects of being able to pay to get certain things.
Sure.
But you can there's actually some pretty decent stuff. Like there's usually some sort of like 99p first buy this first reward and get a bunch of cool rewards from it. They actually most of the time they're pretty worth it. So if I do spend,
All
it's
right.
usually only that first little bit, and then that'll be like a good jumping off point.
Sure. Well, keep us up to date, Jay. I would like to move on to the
Yes.
news if it's all right with you.
Go on then.
So let's crack on
You want me to
to the news.
transition?
No, it's a bit too aggressive, wasn't it?
I guess.
There's probably already one out there. I've probably, I've just subconsciously done that. All right, Jay, we at the news.
Yeah. There's so much.
Okay,
I think there actually
lot
might
of
have been
news.
something I missed off here that I didn't see, but I'll mention it anyway in a minute.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Good shout, because there's definitely a story that I'm going to try and look up while I'm talking at the same time, because I really want to talk about it. But first up, Jay,
Yeah.
the biggest news of the week, which I messaged you about.
Okay.
Redfall and Starfield have
Ah.
indeed been delayed until
Yes.
2023.
This is true.
Before I go on, guys, we basically get all our news stories from IGN, who get their news stories from the actual news source itself. This comes from Bethesda Twitter. They basically announced they've delayed it until the first half of 2023. They want to make sure their games, they have incredible ambitions for their games, and they want to ensure that they receive the best, most polished versions of them, which you can appreciate. Now, Jay, I'll move on to you because I know I always talk first in the news stories. So, what are your initial reactions to this delay?
What to the fact that it's been delayed? Okay.
Yes.
Redfall, I was kind of looking forward to play, but I'm glad it isn't coming out this year because there's already a bunch of stuff coming out that I want to play. Starfield was delayed, was the other one?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this a little bit, how we believe that it might. I mean, I think the game is obviously not as ahead as I'd like it to be. And my stance on delaying games: delay it for as long as you need to, basically, to make it as good as it possibly can be. Because me and you do not like games that come out that aren't finished, right?
100%.
And I think I even said before, like the other aspect of it is not wanting to compete for Game of the Year, which I think just so happens to be more of like the symptom rather than the actual illness. If I want to use some sort of like weird thing. Like that's not like the whole reason, but it's definitely probably like the tiniest part of the reason as to why they'd want to move a game release date. But let's say the game was like, let's say, game companies tend not to release games. They tend not to delay games that are finished. So they'll only ever delay a game if it's not finished most of the time, like nine times out of 10. So I mean, yeah, like I say, like the Game of the Year thing isn't like is very rarely any amount of the reason, but definitely game companies like to have awards, I guess. So it'll help.
It looks good on the box, I suppose, or the trailer.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
It'll look better on the box.
So,
And I think
by the way,
Elden
Jay,
Ring definitely deserves to win it at this point. So.
Let's see what the year has in store, but I get you. We have missed out a story, which we'll move on to, which was it looks like basically the starting lineup for the PS Plus new programs have been announced. I don't know if you saw those games.
Yeah, it kind of looks like.
We'll talk about it in a bit, mate. If that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of this delay, Jay, so I did listen to some reactions from podcasts for people I like to listen to, and the general consensus seems to be, every game delay is great, gives the developers more time. Hopefully, we get a better game. But pretty much everyone is now like, Jay, what the hell is Xbox going to put out this year? Like,
Yeah, they're
this
sort
could
of
be
starting
the
to run out, aren't
driest
they?
this could be the driest Xbox year we've had in like a long time, and that's embarrassing because this new leadership, this new acquisition trail has been in motion since, let's say, Game Pass got announced, which I think was maybe 2016, 2017. Like it's actually before that, right? Like Phil Spencer took over 2013, 2014, something like that. So they're nearly 10 years into their kind of like, groove and stuff. So actually we should be getting more games than ever, genuinely, and we're not getting any, and it's like, or it feels like we're getting none, and if we are, it's third party, and it is getting to the point now, Jay, where this is sort of me mirroring what other people have said, but frankly I do agree, is that like, what are we doing here, lads? If like without Game Pass it's nothing.
It's
Like
weird, like
hardware, I don't care about hardware if I haven't got a game to play on it.
that's the thing, right? I feel like that 2022 has sort of become the year of the 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 PC and the mobile kind of like part of the year, or like part of the decade, where like there isn't like games are still being developed for the next generation, and so they sort of need that year or two to be able to like not release much, so that everything else that is maybe slightly smaller on the scale has more room to shine. I think you might be seeing this as a bad thing, but for me, I see this as like a really really good thing, because the less of these AAA games that come out means that the sort of lower AA or even single A games get to shine a bit more, and maybe get to
Yeah,
like make a bit more of a jump start for smaller companies to do then have more room to grow. Does that make sense?
for sure, for sure,
So for me,
absolutely.
this is like a big plus. I mean, it's sort of like looking at the silver lining, I guess. Like just
Yeah,
trying
totally.
to find
And
the bad in, or the good in the bad, or the good in the bad for the bigger companies. But to me, whenever I hear that the big companies aren't releasing stuff, that's good for me, because smaller people get more of a chance, and I like that.
no, you're totally right, Jay. Like for instance, we get a lot of coverage on games like Sifu and stuff, which,
Oh
let's be
man,
honest,
I
we
really want to play
might
that
not
game.
get on a year like 2018, right? Like you're totally right, Jay. Like on a normal busy AAA year, you ain't getting the coverage, and we are seeing the coverage of games like Tunic and all this kind of stuff. Totally, Death's Door,
Yep,
totally.
indie games are definitely
Um,
getting a lot more marketing. A lot. That's the thing, because like imagine, right? There's like no AAA games coming out in a certain period of time of the year.
right.
What are game companies going to talk about, or game journalists going to talk about? They're going to talk about
Yeah,
anything gaming related, but it just can't be
yeah,
the stuff that isn't coming out, right? So they kind of
100%.
have to talk about the smaller stuff, even though they do most of the time anyway. But they just give them more time, and that's good.
Absolutely.
More time is more money.
Absolutely. And like you say, Jay, there's something unique about a quiet like 2-3 years in gaming, like this new generation, the 2013 2014 equivalent, or the 2005 2006 equivalent. There's something unique about being able to like catch up on your back catalog, being able to see the coverage of these indie games, being able to like just see what's going on YouTube and just be like, it's pretty chill. Or maybe I'll dive into this game I wouldn't have played before. Or maybe I'll dive into that game I wouldn't have played before, because there's not loads coming out. And even though as gamers we kind of like to play things all the time, so we build it up subconsciously anyway, I find, right? Um, it's a kind of nice. It's not. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
I've,
Like people will live stream games they wouldn't live stream before, and stuff like that.
that's true. Yeah, no, like there's been definitely a lot more variety, or what's called variety streaming or variety gaming on Twitch, where like larger streamers will sort of dabble in a lot of very much smaller games, and those smaller games tend to blow up. Like the reason, do you know who first streamed Among Us and why it blew up?
No.
A guy called Soda Poppin. He's sort of very well known in the Twitch community. Very old, like he was there from like almost day one on Twitch when it was called Justin TV, right? He played Among Us one day, and then it just blew up. Since then, it's
Mental.
just like Among Us was literally I want
It
to
was
say
up for
like
like
a, I
two
think,
years, wasn't it?
well, I no I think, yeah, I think it had been out for maybe 8 to 10 months at that point, It was maybe like a couple dollars on Steam or something. He was like, "This game looks wacky." Like he's one of these people who just plays random, like really random Steam games. That's like part of his thing that he does. He's like, "Oh, this game looks interesting," and then he just played it, and then everyone started playing it after that. Like people just were amazed by the idea of it, and it just blew up. And he's actually done that with a few things. I think I want to say he might have also done that with Fall Guys as well. I don't know. I can't remember exactly who did the Fall Guys thing. But like I think that just goes to show how one moment in time for a very very small company can now lead to like them becoming like the next big thing. And you got to think, what are the guys who made Among Us going to do next now? You know, like I think it's going to be really hard for them to do that. It's almost like a lightning in a bottle type situation. But they can try something else, you know, if they want to. I mean, I'm sure they've made so much money off that game.
Totally.
Oh my god, yeah.
Totally. So yeah, so it's one of those where the logic, rational human being for both of us, I think, is like, cool, you know, make the games better. That's cool, man. Like, and in terms of the reaction, by the way, not surprised Redfall got delayed at all. We've seen one cinematic trailer, so
Yeah.
I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah, I mean, going from a cinematic trailer, what was it, October no, it was July last year, or maybe even June. It was like a year ago.
I think, didn't they finish E3 last year with it?
I want to say it was the end of E3. It was just like the last thing they showed.
Yeah.
Or like whatever the E3 thing was going on at the time.
Yeah, and we haven't seen it since then. And Starfield is... It's one of those where, like, well, after I think about it, of course it's not surprising, you know, like, it's a big game.
No.
But at the same time, it kind of is surprising because they already put a date on it. And
I always thought that date was way too early. I was thinking, oh.
Well, I think they just wanted to get it in the diary, you know, just...
I think whenever you see a release date, the first release date for a game now, just think, right, that's just them setting themselves a very, very early goal. Like at this point, whenever we see a release date for a game now, it should be, oh, they've just marked it down in their calendars when they hope to be at least somewhat done. Like we should just take any sort of release date as a grain of salt now at this point.
100%.
It's like a public diary for them. Like they should just keep it quiet. I think it's actually more just to let people know that the game is coming, and it builds hype. But then when they delay it, it's sort of like, oh, we'll try to remember it, and hopefully we'll still remember it and we're still around, you know.
Totally. So Jay, on the PS Plus side of things, then, so PS Plus is getting the upgrade, it's getting the Game Pass treatment. We're getting 3 different tiers. I think it's something like PS Plus Essential, PS Plus Extra, and PS Plus Premium. Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Jay, did you look at the list of games sort of related to each layer, and what did you think of them if you did?
I didn't see if there were specifically ones for each layer. The only thing I saw was like a list of like, I think there was like AC Valhalla, it was like God of War. Maybe Last of Us. It was basically like all the PlayStation, like AAA stuff, right? Spider-Man was on there, I think.
Yeah. Miles Morales.
Yeah, just like all the big hitters, basically. I don't know if there was any more than that, or if that was just it. What was it? Yeah,
so there was. So I think that was actually the Essential layer, and they're adding to some pretty good titles to that. They've got Returnal on there. They've got Demon's Souls on there.
Returnal is a big one. Because Returnal's still like £60.
Yeah, and
it's
Demon's
still max price. I think I've only seen it come down in price, maybe a tenner. I think the lowest I've seen it is 50.
Yeah,
and I was like, Jesus Christ! I get that it's like a good game, but I don't think it's that good of a game. I mean, weirdly, it was Maximilian Dude's Game of the Year last year.
Is that right?
So I can see like if he says it's good, it's good. You know, I trust that man.
Yeah, no, I get that, but he's obviously very good at gaming, and he likes all the hard shit as well.
Very true. He's very good
fair play. So then we had the layer of PS2, PSP, and PlayStation. Yeah,
I'm interested to see what all that means because there's definitely a lot of old PlayStation games I wouldn't mind playing.
Well, Jay, so there's one PSP game.
Okay.
There is a selection of PlayStation original games, which frankly I was very underwhelmed by. And the PS2 games are pretty much all that were available on the PS4. So your Jack and Daxters and stuff, sort of, so that it's the port of those, not necessarily the port of the original game. And then you had the PS3 games, which were streaming via like your PS Now sort of stuff, which I don't even want to talk about because why would you stream a game? It's just the worst.
To me, this just kind of sounds like early Game Pass days, right, where there wasn't really much going on.
correct.
Yeah,
But
give it a
no,
year. This PlayStation thing will be booming more than likely.
Jay, it's a great point because I was looking at it thinking this has not got what I need it to
needs.
have to buy it.
This is a test run. This is them being like, we hope this works. If it doesn't, we're going to cancel it.
If I'm honest, Jay, the initial reaction I got was this is what we have to make because Game Pass is out there, but we don't really
more of
want
out of
to
necessity.
because our games, because our games sell really well. Basically, is how I felt.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. Like, had they not done anything and just kept it the same way, I think they would have eventually. Microsoft would have took over. With I think I imagine PlayStation have probably been like losing subscribers, and I think they were thinking that maybe it was to do with Game Pass, so they kind of had to make their own to hope those people would come back in some way. So yeah, hard to say, but I mean, this is all one of those things where you just got to give it time. I think even if this thing went badly, even in the first year, I don't know if they could ever go back on it. I think they just have to keep it and just hope that it would work out by the second, third year. But Sony being a Japanese company, Japan likes to see turnaround within at least like 6 to 12 months. Anything longer than that, they tend to just scrap it. Like they're very, very strict about that kind of stuff. Like they need to see results very quick. Which is weird because you'd think they'd be a bit more patient, but they're actually weirdly not that patient. So yeah, this is more of a waiting game just to see what happens. I'll have to look into it more, but I don't think I even want to look at this thing until I think it's at least to the same standard to what Game Pass is now. You know.
Agreed. Agreed. It's going to have some top stuff.
You'd need some ridiculously good stuff on there. And to me, what we've got on there is not. I mean, it's good for people like. This is perfect for people who are just starting out gaming. With people like us, people already played half the games on that list. It's like whatever at this point. You know?
Jay, I'm always so interested when gaming journalists react to these things because one, they've played pretty much every game on there for free anyway.
Yeah.
So like, what would they know in terms of value for money? Like, no offense, guys, you just don't. And two, what's interesting is they almost see it and they're almost trying to judge it on behalf of people who don't have access to every game ever, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, imagine trying to imagine someone who hasn't got a PS5. You can't. Like, you can, like, of course you can have a rough idea, like, oh, that sucks and all the rest of it, but we have PS5s. Like, like, not having a car would suck. Not having a PS5 would suck. Like I mean, like, someone trying to tell me how good the PS Plus lineup is from like who gets every game for free. I'm like, you're not going to play any of these games. You've played them all. You're not going to play them. I love Returnal. I'll play Returnal again. I'm like, you'll play it for like one fucking day.
Yeah, technically they don't have the time to play it because their jobs require them to play newer games all the time anyway. So
maybe I'm hating too much this week. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know.
So we got to say.
Oh yeah, I was going to apologise, but I didn't want to.
Sure.
Jake, important news for you, I think, and me, but mainly you. The brand new Dead Space remake officially has a release date. EA announced during a stream.
Is it January
so apparently it's going to be out January 27th, 2023. Speaking of early release date, so Jay, go on, hit me.
Did you say 2027?
No, January 27th, 2023.
2023. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. 2027. That's what 6 is going to get now.
I've been following this. They've actually released some like dev diary stuff that I'm still yet to watch. I am going to watch them eventually. If you had told me this game was coming out in 2018, I think I would have been more excited.
You think your moment's almost past?
Not necessarily, but I think this might be one of those ones that I come back to. Well, I might come back to it like well after it's come out. Like, I don't see myself needing to buy this game necessarily, which is bad for them because they're obviously going to want to see the money quite quick. But yeah, I can't really see myself wanting to get this straight away. I feel like I've been done with Dead Space for a long time.
Fair enough. Fair
Like the
enough.
last time I
So
played Dead Space 1 was well over a decade ago. Well, about a decade ago.
I've got many questions then
Yeah, go on.
for you. So, okay, first of all, Jay, I wouldn't worry too much because if it's an EA game, it will go to EA Play within a year
Ah,
anyway.
that's true. Yeah, I might just wait for
So
it to
it'll
come to
be on
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass.
Yeah.
Second thing was, you've shocked me because I thought you'd love Dead Space.
I do. It's one of my favourite games of all time. It's a classic. Way better than Dead Space 2 and 3.
Sure.
3 was a bloody mistake. 2 was great.
2 is great. So,
Weird how 1 and 2 hold up so much more than 3. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly.
So, Jay, like, what's going on in your head then, in the sense of, okay, look, I totally get you don't want to necessarily pay 40, 50 quid for a remake of a game, sort of thing. But no, I guess that's it, right? That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty plain and simple.
Yeah.
The game will look amazing, it'll play amazing, but it's just not. Oh, I don't know. It seems like really bad timing. Like I kind of feel like EA should have put their money elsewhere. Like it almost feels like this money is what was like the leftover from Anthem or something.
Right. I doubt it, but I get what you're saying.
Kind of what it feels
Only
like.
because Anthem didn't do very well is what I mean.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think it did perform quite well financially.
I mean,
anyway,
I bought it, so.
Anyway, so Jay, this release date, you think it's too early? You think it's genuinely coming out? Is it coming out finished? You know, all this kind of good stuff.
Honestly, it wasn't in the best of shape when I saw it for the first time, maybe a year ago. So at that point, it'll have been 2 years. I mean, 2 years is a pretty decent amount of time to get that finished.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the longest game ever. I'd say January is somewhere in the middle of where I would have guessed. I would have said end of this year at the earliest, and at the latest end of next year. So January seems about right. Like it's kind of like maybe slightly too early. I don't know.
Fine.
January is a good time though, because it's still like pretty dark out. Still a bit spooky. January seems to be a lot of the time. January is right before when all the major releases come out, so you might get people after they've starting to save up again after Christmas. Maybe people are still like in that sort of dark, gloomy mood, so they might still want to be playing that kind of thing. I don't know. It's
totally
really hard to judge.
No, I think you're right. I think the release period's good. Good.
I like January releases though. Start of the year releases always feel nice to me. Like February seems like a really amazing time to release games. Just so many good games.
I think that's why it's so packed now. I think that's why it's so packed between January and May. It's I mean this year was packed.
It didn't used to be. It used to be so quiet at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like the time that games were released were like what, July to December. So basically the second half of the year was when all the games came out. Like it was primarily September, October, November was like the main
for the Christmas, right?
Yeah.
What's
and
interesting,
it was always
actually,
really dry at the beginning, but now it's like packed again. Like I feel like there's just a lot more going on now, you know.
I would argue, don't get me wrong, we've got E3 coming up, but I'm sure there will be games announced that are coming out this year.
I like how we keep saying E3, but technically there is no E3.
That's true.
E3's been cancelled for like 2 years now.
But in that period, we're going to get games announced and come out. But I mean, it's going to be pretty equal between the first and second half of the year, I would say, with some gaps in between, which is very interesting. You know what I mean?
I think I feel like the quietest part of the year is like May, June, July now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Like right in the middle of everything is just when.
Maybe it's that summer thing where like kids are.
Yeah, everyone's out to playing, right? So there's like no real reason to be inside anymore. So why would you release a game when everyone's outside?
Yeah. Jay, next up. I'm glad you put this on the news because I did want to talk about it as well. Need for Speed developer Criterion absorbs a Codemasters studio. This comes from them directly on Twitter. We can confirm this comes from Codemasters. We can confirm Criterion Games and the development team at Codemasters Cheshire are officially coming together to create the future of Need for Speed, forming one Criterion studio with 2 location hubs.
Yeah, this is very good. Part of the reason why I put this there was twofold. One, I thought it'd be good for us to talk about, and 2, I'm a massive fan of Codemasters, and I'm also a massive fan of Need for Speed. So this is like the fact that 2 of my favourite game developers when it comes to racing games are coming together to make another racing game is kind of like, okay, kind of want to see what they're doing with this, because Codemasters are the other people behind the Dirt series. And obviously the people who make Need for Speed. So and I'm a massive fan of I'm a massive fan of the more recent Need for Speed games and the old Need for Speed games. The sort of middle ground was a bit meh. But they've recently released a couple of good ones, so I'm kind of looking forward to what they do next. Honestly,
Sweet.
just keep making much of the same. Just kind of feels like Assassin's Creed at this point. Just make something that's similar enough, and I'll play it.
Fair enough.
Just innovate slightly. They're much like Call of Duty or like AC. They innovate slightly, and it just makes it enough for me to want it. Like there's always some sort of like new gimmick or new mechanic that makes it feel more fun.
So on the
keep
Colin
doing what you're
McRae side of things, like with Dirt and that, I totally get why they just do like a Dirt 5, which they did, right? But on the Need for Speed side of things, Jay, why wouldn't they? I know they did like the Most Wanted thing, which it's not even like a remake, right? It's like a different game or something, but with the same mechanics. I don't even know. But why wouldn't they just do, like, I know it's easier said than done, and I'm just sitting in a chair as a young man who has no knowledge of anything. But why wouldn't they just do, okay, next year, Need for Speed Underground 3, get fucking hyped, mate, because
Well, now you said it, it honestly could be a thing. I honestly don't know maybe they've been waiting to do it, because Need for Speed Underground is a very specific type of people. Like basically, people our age will want to play that game. Like millennials, I'd say like people aged like 25 to 30, like that range of people is like the correct Need for Speed Underground age. Whereas everyone below that and everyone above it probably don't give much of a crap. So they kind of want to like just hope that they release it at the perfect time so people will play it.
But like even the youngins who don't know what Underground is, even if they see it's a new Need for Speed game, they'll get it. Right?
I think
surely?
if they did a 3, they wouldn't call it 3. They just call it like Need for Speed Undergrounds with like a different, it'd be like a rebooted series at this point. I think because they'd want to make it a new thing so that people who didn't play 1 and 2 don't feel as left out. I think they would be the unofficial 3, but the official 3 at the same time.
Fine, but then why wouldn't they? So what I'm saying is, why wouldn't they, as a franchise, bring in that nostalgia of fans, make it that fucking make it that Forza Horizon quality, and then also do the same thing and just be like, here's Carbon 2 or something stupid. I don't know, like
honestly, if they did that, I'd easily get both of those. If they did Most Wanted again, man, oh man, those games were they still hold up. That's what's amazing about those games. They still hold up.
Right.
They're so good. Yeah, I mean, Need for Speed is one of those things where I kind of just like, I try to forget about it, and then when it comes around, I'm excited about it. Like it's just one of those ones where
pleasantly. Oh, that's
it's almost a guarantee to be good, just enough for me to want to play it for at least a little bit. So
nice.
I mean, I've completed the last 2 Need for Speed games that I've played, so I'm happy about it. They're on a good streak right now. Hopefully, they don't ruin it.
Sweet. Next up, Jay. This is great news in my opinion.
Please be the thing I'm thinking of. I can't remember if I put it on here or not.
Maybe I should. Sorry?
I can't remember if I put this on here or not. Please let it be the thing I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Did I put it on here?
Gotham Knights PS4 and Xbox One versions have been cancelled.
Yes.
So it looks like they made a statement.
Dude, that's so
in
good
a new gameplay trailer, but basically, they've been cancelled. The last.
I still need to watch this gameplay trailer. I have it in my YouTube watch later list. I still haven't got around to it. I'm sort of savouring it.
How have you not? Because like these trailers are like 3 minutes long, dude.
This gameplay trailer is like 17 minutes.
Oh, I take it back. I
can't wait. It's gonna be great. It's in 4K
as
well.
I thought you meant cinematic. Apologies.
No, I'm gonna watch both, but yeah.
It's fair. This is fantastic news in my opinion.
Yes, because this is part of the reason why Cyberpunk didn't do that well. Because they spent too much fucking money on the previous generation, and it's bullshit.
Yep.
Had they just scrapped it, had they never done it for previous generations, they probably would have had a much better release. They wouldn't have sold as well necessarily, because obviously a bunch of people bought the game thinking it was going to play on previous generation. It didn't. It wouldn't have like made its money necessarily, but I think in the long run, it probably would have eventually caught back up to where it is now without the previous generation. I think people who would have eventually got hold of the next gen would have then bought Cyberpunk, and then it would have been fine. I think the people who are above the people who made the game were just too greedy. I'm like, you need to make up for your generation. We need to get our money quickly. They were just greedy. They were greedy about it. And thank God these Gotham Knights people have looked at Cyberpunk. Right, we're not doing their mistake. Scrap that. We're just going to concentrate on the next gen. And honestly, if it wasn't the Cyberpunk sort of almost, being the martyr, as it were, then this might have not happened. I think if anything, this is like probably one of the best things that's happened to the gaming community in a long time. If we now see this as a trend, I'm going to be so happy. But we
Agree.
also need to see the
Completely
result of
agree.
it first. We need to see if whether or not it's actually going to like succeed
True.
from this
A couple
Gotham
of things,
one.
Jay. I think one of the reasons that exclusives, or at least Sony exclusives, well, Xbox 2 have a leg up is because they're only developing for hopefully 2 or 3 platforms, right? That being a PS4 or PS5, whatever the hell. Mate, hopefully just a PS5, right? Secondly, anytime a publisher or developer is saying we're not going to spend as much time working on this or this or this, I'm like, that's great because your resources aren't as stretched. So you can just focus on making the game. And like you say, Jay, like, all right, maybe there's people out there who are like, well, I haven't got a PS5 and I haven't got a Series X. Fair enough. I am going to get to the point there where I'm going to say, yeah, Series S is going to cost you like 250 quid and they're available. So if you wanted it that badly, you do have a option. If you can't get PS5, fair enough. It's not a great situation, but you've still got a few months to get one. And frankly, I am going to get to the point where I think anybody who desperately wanted one, in the UK at least, I assume has almost got one. I could be very wrong about that, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, great news, Jay. I hope every game does this moving forward.
Yep.
I want more next-gen only stuff. I want games to advance the medium. I want developers spending less time on past-gen versions. I know it doesn't make
It's just a
financial
waste
sense
of
all the
time and
time,
resources.
but...
I don't understand. Like,
Well, it sells copies, Jay. It sells copies, you know.
Does,
Like you've
but
got
who the
we talked about
fuck?
this. You got like 150 million units out there
That's
ready
so
to be
many.
played on.
I know. That's ridiculous. Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of money by doing that. But I really like it's a big gamble, but I really hope it pays off because this needs to be the trendsetter for the next. I mean, there is definitely going to be a day where people don't make stuff for previous gen anymore, but most of the time it doesn't come in until at least like half the way through the next gen lifespan. Like we're sort of like talking like 2023, 2024 at the earliest. But we're already starting to see it in 2022, and I love that. It is the end of 2022, you know, as we're saying.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're seeing it sooner rather than later, honestly.
Totally.
More
Last
money.
up, Jay. Gearbox has 9 AAA games. That's right, 9 AAA games in development as owner Embracer continues to grow. Let's have a look. Where do we get this news from? I have no idea. Where is this news from? IGN. Hello. Looks like a quote. Anyway, financial results. There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, so Embracer Group talking about results and stuff, and yeah, apparently Gearbox, as in the makers of Borderlands 3, Wonderlands, have got 9 AAA games in development. Jay,
I feel like I see this come up a lot. Actually, there seems to be like I feel like I've heard this at least 2 or 3 times over the last year or so, of like there being a quote of like said game company is making like this many games, hopefully over the next like 5 years or something. I remember like Warhammer came out maybe last year, so we've got 26 Warhammer games in development right now. Not even a joke. They were being dead serious, and I think since then they've released like 3 or 4. Given like half of them were mobile games.
Fine.
But Warhammer, I'm not joking. They've already released like 30 games over the last like 15 years, maybe more. They're good at releasing games. They're not all great. I'd say like maybe 1 out of 7 is brilliant, but the rest seem to be a bit naff. But yeah, this so.
Jay, if I may interrupt very, very quickly.
Yeah, go on.
There's a YouTuber called Racervic who does really good videos, and he did a video on this literally recently saying that he would rather have a franchise like Warhammer, who basically rents out their IP to any studio to make all sorts of types of games, compared to Mass Effect, where we've gotten 4 games in the last 12 years or something like that. So anyway, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, no, I see the point there. I feel like that's kind of what Marvel are trying to do at the minute. I kind of hope they do more of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Marvel have got a new card game coming out, I think. A mobile card game, like Hearthstone type stuff. I'm looking forward to that. This should be good, even though Marvel is a bit meh for me at the minute.
It's getting worse, by
the way.
So yeah,
we were speaking before about how 9 games.
Yeah, 9 AAA
sounds
games.
Nice, but that's a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of time. I think if we're talking 9 games over the next like 20 years. Maybe. But I have a feeling this might be 9 games over the span of like the next 4 or 5. That's not a good thing. I think as long as if I saw a time frame, I'd be more happy with this. But because I don't have a time frame, I don't really know how to feel necessarily. Because we were saying like they're spreading. It just feels like they're spreading themselves too thin, maybe. But obviously, Gearbox aren't. They're like, are they? They're a publisher as well, or are they? 2K is the publisher, right, for Gearbox?
They were. They've recently been acquired by Embracer Group, who just bought all the Tomb Raider stuff. Remember? So Embracer Group with 2HQ Nordic. They bought Gearbox last year, and they've just bought Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, all that stuff.
Okay. I mean, it just depends on how many developers are working on things. But I mean, this could either be a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I feel like 2022 is the year of speculation. Honestly, we keep saying, "Oh, this could be, this could be, this could be," and we're not getting much results at the minute. I think we're in that weird period where there's lots of experiments happening and no results. And until we get any results, we can't really. All we can do is speculate and hope, you know. And I can't wait until we get there. It's going to be glorious.
On that point, Joe, I did forget a point about the Xbox thing. Sorry about that. I was just going to say, I definitely, because of the delayed thing, not because of that specifically, but it does make me think that if we don't see what the hell some of these studios are doing in the next 6 months, I'm going to think that Microsoft can't manage their studios, point blank, period.
I'm hoping that...
If Fable's not coming out in the next year, like, what are we doing here, lads?
I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be a bunch of announcements over the next month or two, and there's going to be a bunch of games coming out at the end of the year.
Right.
Either that or like beginning or like first quarter of next year.
Right.
Things that have just been hidden and they're waiting to like release them and be like, oh look, we've actually got a bunch of stuff, we just didn't want to say anything yet.
And I hope that's totally the case, Jay. I really do.
I mean, it's very, very, very doubtful. It's very rare. I remember it's definitely happened before, but we've had times where we've been watching like a state of play type thing, or like an announcement stream for like Microsoft or whoever, Devolver, whoever it might be, and then they're like, oh, by the way, this game's out in like a week, like, oh, this game's out tonight. You know, like we've had that before. I couldn't give you an example because screw my memory. But I'd love for that to happen. To be like, oh, by the way, here's this like AAA game that's coming out. I feel like the marketing would be a nightmare on that though.
No,
not really the best way to go about it, you know.
No pre-orders and all the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you need
game journalists, all the gamers out there, they're always, every year they're like, oh yeah, and they'll shadow drop. It's like, no, they fucking won't.
Shadow drop. Yeah, no, that would be nice. That would be very, very nice. So yeah, I'd love to see that, but yeah, it's not. I don't, not very likely, unfortunately.
I feel you. Jake, please take us to the next topic screen. As we move on to my topic for the week.
I just want to say one more thing really quick.
Yeah, please.
This wasn't on the list, but I don't know if you ever saw this. Elden Ring has sold 13 million copies in its first month. 13 million. How ridiculous is that? Did you see this or did you not see this?
I did. Yeah. I've got to ask. I know we've already discussed it, but why Elden? Is it mainly timing? You know, you've got 3 Dark Souls games and Sekiro and Bloodborne that just built up.
It's franchise building. It's world building. It's literally it's the culmination of everything that's been great about previous From Software games in one From Software game. Like, there's people now on Twitter and on YouTube who are like going back to old Dark Souls games, being like, I can't jump. Why can't I jump? It's kind of like people are pissed off now that the game isn't as good as it was. Like, old Dark Souls games aren't as good anymore, just because there's this new one has sort of like blown the door wide open, you know. And just as a comparison, by the way, Final Fantasy 15 just made 10 million copies.
Did it?
Just like this week.
This week
it sold 10 million.
It's funny you say that because
and the game came out in what, 2016?
16.
So it's been 7 years to get 10 million versus Elden Ring's 1 month to get 13.
It's funny you say that because they've said back in the day that they'll need to sell 10 million copies of that game for it to be profitable.
That's exactly what the article said. Yeah, 10 million to be profitable.
Yeah.
How insane is that? They just made their money back on that. That's insane.
Yeah, no,
That's so
it's
fucking
crazy. That's
insane.
crazy numbers, Jay. Crazy
Oh
numbers.
man, I'm glad they did though.
Yeah.
Got there.
It's one of those, right, where it'll make or break them. Well, not make them, but it could break them.
Well, they just go to show they need to plan better when it comes to making their games. Didn't plan very well, did they? 15.
Oh no, sorry, I meant more like Elden Ring, as in now they've got all this money
Oh, sure.
from Soft, like
Well,
what they're
people are
gonna do
hoping that
with
we're
it.
going to get DLC, but I mean, there's a lot of clues that allude to that in the game, of like areas that you can't go to that are like locked off that seem like would be good for DLC. A lot of like story things that haven't been cleared up and could be with extra DLC stuff like that.
Why didn't they do DLC for Sekiro, by the way?
So, I don't know.
Because they usually do, right? They do. They do.
Yeah, there was
Dark Souls
DLC in all
3,
the other Dark
Bloodborne.
Souls. Yeah, so we're hoping for
Yeah,
DLC in Elden Ring now. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want
fair
to,
enough.
maybe they thought it was good enough as it was.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, are you okay to move on, Jay?
Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty. So my topic for this week, Jay,
Mm.
very very topical. Well, actually, let's move on to the topical one in a bit. No, let's say it. Let's stay on the topic. So my topic this week, Jay. Well, obviously, I haven't got many games to discuss, so I think we just start to cover those key questions that we frankly still haven't spoken about, despite being 62 episodes in, and then some. How should games be announced compared to when they should be released today?
Yeah.
Right. So, obviously topical because of Redfall, Starfield. I'll just quickly put my thoughts out there, Jay, and then obviously I'd like to get yours. So my thoughts is, or are, I'm not sure,
One of those.
that one of them is that in my, in my opinion, in my like what I would prefer to be showed a game, and then for 2-3 months later maximum for the game to come out. I would like a good reveal that didn't reveal any sort of key story things. I would like a gameplay trailer, cinematic trailer, maybe some concept art, maybe a dev diary, just to kind of see behind the people making the game. I would like all the information up front in terms of additions, in terms of maybe DLC roadmap if that's really essential. But I'd like all the information at once, with in a kind of live stream format. Everything I need to know. Game's coming out. Very unlikely it's going to get delayed. We might have internally delayed it before you'd seen it, and that's it. And I, in an ideal world, Jay, that is what I would like. Now it's hard to plan your gaming calendar around that, but I don't care. So, what are your thoughts in terms of this topic? When
Well,
would you like to see?
you pretty much described, I feel like, the perfect, amount of time that a game should. You pretty much described the whole scenario like perfectly, right? Exactly how it should be. We hear about a game, it comes out in like 3 to 5 months max. You get a bunch of like hype leading up to it, maybe a month or two, maybe even a few weeks before, like just getting more information. Like you say, internally delayed it, like that's perfect. But I feel like now, maybe at some point, a game developer or a game that came out was like maybe it might have even been Cyberpunk's fault, honestly, where like a game got announced and then the hype sort of builds around it for the fact that there's no almost no information about it, to the point where the imagination then takes over for gamers and they sort of build up this idea of this amazing thing in their head, and then that is the reason why people buy it in the first place, or at least part of the reason, many years later when it does finally come out, because they've built it up so much in their head that it has to be good now. So they have to buy it, and then that's sort of where Cyberpunk was for a while. I think Death Stranding was in a similar boat, where like it was such a mystery that people were just more involved more of like the mystery of it than the actual gameplay itself. And I think since then, game developers kind of want to almost recreate that, but maybe on a slightly smaller scale. So they'll announce something and it won't come out for like 2 or 3 years, and then that whole time people are imagining, oh, I can't wait for it to look like this, play like this. And then when they do like start to eventually release images, concept art, like gameplay, people can either be disappointed because it's not what they had in their head, or they can be like, it can be more than what they hoped. And then I feel like that's probably the most important part. I think that's probably part of the reason why we're not getting gameplay as soon as we'd like, because as soon as the gameplay's out, that then is the make or break moment. Because if the gameplay doesn't look good at that moment, your game is not going to do as well as if you'd released that gameplay maybe a day before. If you'd released it a day before, people might not have seen it, or maybe they didn't even release gameplay until like the day of. People might not have seen it and just bought the game anyway. You know, like I feel like the gameplay day is the most important day, almost for any game at this point. Thoughts?
Totally. Like you say, Jay, the gameplay aspect again is interesting that you bring up, because it's becoming more and more of a crux because we barely see it anymore, right? That I don't know whether that's because of pressure, because development's getting harder, more expensive, all that kind of typical stuff. But you know, we've seen a billion cinematic trailers, and then when we finally see the gameplay, it's like it's not for me.
Yeah, I didn't really like that again. Like I feel like the gameplay, like, as soon like I've made up my mind about a game almost immediately when I see gameplay.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like it's so like it's almost it's like, you know, when some people say if you know you're in love with someone, or you know you're going to marry someone the moment you see them. It's like, I guess if that's a thing, or like watching a movie, like you'll know within the first 5-10 minutes whether or not you're going to enjoy it or not. Which actually I don't believe necessarily all the time. But I feel like we're quite attuned to knowing about a game, right?
Yeah.
Like if we see a trailer, like even if I see a cinematic trailer, I almost know if I'm going to like that game or not. But the moment I see gameplay, it's over. It's either over or it's not, you know?
Totally. And Redfall's a great example, Jay, because you saw it and
I'm
thought
hyped
this
for
is
it, but I've not
game.
seen any gameplay yet.
And I saw it and I thought, even on the cinematic trailer, this game is not for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just know. So,
thing is,
but like you say, you haven't even seen gameplay for it yet. You haven't even seen gameplay.
I have a feeling that Redfall will be similar to Back 4 Blood, but I'm hoping not. I have an idea of how I want to play, but I don't know if it's going to be third person, first person. What's it going to be, you know?
Also, what's interesting, Jay, is like we've almost done a U-turn, because trailers used to be only gameplay. We used to get like all in-game engine, which was fantastic, even if it was a little bit buffed up and a little bit, you know, like we've changed the camera angles and all that kind of stuff. I would rather have gameplay than cinematics. I speak to my family about this all the time. You know, they're like, well, how do you know what games you want coming up? I'm like, I don't. When you see a film trailer, half the film trailer isn't in the film, whereas you see a game trailer, fucking who knows what's in the game, like in terms of a cinematic trailer, let alone a gameplay trailer, because the amount of times we've seen a gameplay trailer and it's not the film, right? You don't see a Top Gun Maverick trailer and go, oh, that's Tom Cruise, that's a plane, and then you start watching the film, it's like, why is Frodo Baggins in here? What's going on? You know, like
I feel like I have a good example.
It's obviously not that different, but you know.
So I feel like the one exception to this, or the one I can think of, is Final Fantasy. We've seen gameplay of Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
We saw it on the first announcement of 16. We saw gameplay. Now,
I love it.
Now, Final Fantasy at this point in its life cycle is at the point where you could show any amount of anything and people will buy that game. The gameplay could be awful, people will still buy it. But Final Fantasy isn't going to. Square Enix isn't going to release a Final Fantasy game unless it's top notch anyway. So they know they can release gameplay of a game too early, and it'll still do just as well as if they released that gameplay a year later. Whereas some game companies don't have that brand loyalty, don't have that that consistency that allows them to do that. Which is surprising to me, because Bethesda, I feel like they have that, right? To me, Bethesda and Square Enix are the same. They've been around long enough to have that consistent, like, that they just know they should be able to release any amount of gameplay at any point in the development and it'll be fine. So I'm kind of surprised they haven't done anything, but I feel like the West is a little bit more conservative with its releasing of certain things in certain time frames, whereas Japan kind of just want to, like, they want to build hype in a certain way versus how the West does, and I feel like both ways work. It's just I'm genuinely not sure which one I prefer, because you sound like you've made your mind up about how you want it to go, but I haven't thought about it enough, or even maybe looked into it enough to know which has the best impact on. Because I feel like it's very personal, which is probably
Mm.
why the marketing doesn't really matter most of the time. Because if it's a personal issue on how I perceive how I want the game to be at certain times of the release window, then they kind of just have to release it when they want to, and hopefully it'll hit enough people for them on a personal level to be able to understand it and want to still buy it, or maybe not want to buy it at that point. So I feel like there is no right or wrong way about going about how you market these things necessarily. I think there's definitely like the extremes of like the very wrong way and the very right way. It's just there's no sort of like nice middle ground that sort of makes it nice for everybody. You're gonna people, regardless of what you release, there's gonna be the same amount of people that love it and hate it. So, but there's no real like yes or no. It's just sort of like, well, it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. It's just kind of like a throw a whatever the saying is, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks type thing.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that might be,
Yeah, I know what you're saying because
Yeah.
Death Stranding marketing cycle is an interesting one
They
because
they
we have
got me.
trailer,
Tell you what, they
yeah,
suckered me into it, and
and
I'm
they got
glad
me
they did
too.
because it worked for me.
And
Totally
like
worked.
we have this whole marketing journey, right? Or this journey of the game. And like there's something about that. There's something about not knowing what the game is. And there's something about, knowing Starfield is coming out in a few years and just having excitement about it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, there's also something about a developer coming out and going, we've got a brand new Indiana Jones game. Looks fucking great. And it's coming out in 2 months.
Is there an
Like,
Indiana Jones game
what?
coming out?
Nah, there's not. But
Oh, that'd be
like
cool.
Machine Games are working on it would be cool. Well, frankly, Jay, let me just look this up for you. But Machine Games are working on an Indiana Jones game, right? Which I think separating them from the Wolfenstein stuff because they've done that for quite a bit now. So I think they're working on something else. And the last Wolfenstein game, I mean, I don't really want to class Wolfenstein the New Blood, is it? Or the because I don't Young
Old
Blood
Blood,
because
yeah,
Young Blood, but because it wasn't very good. But let's have a look here.
sure.
Wolfenstein 2 came out 2017, so it's been quite a few years. So anyway,
I feel like they probably want to move on at this
so yeah,
point, wouldn't they? I don't think they want to
yeah,
come back for a third.
I think they will, but you could be
Yeah,
right. You could be
I
right.
don't know.
Fantastic games. But I appreciate that chat, Jay. It was really good. Anything else you'd like to say on that topic?
I'm trying to think like what is the perfect thing for me, Like what's the perfect combination of ingredients?
What's the big idea?
It's tough. I feel like as long as I see a bit of gameplay and it looks good to me, I'm good to go. So it really is a 50-50. Either you love it or you hate it.
I totally agree. Like you just know when something captures you,
And
and I
sometimes it's
go
even
back
like you
to
can
it.
see gameplay and not see enough. Like you kind of need to see more
Yeah,
sometimes. So that can always be a good thing too.
absolutely. You can. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You've got some games where you're like, I want to see a bit more before I buy it, or you like it's not for me, or you see a Horizon Zero Dawn, and I knew from the first 30 seconds I was like, I want to play this game, and
Yeah.
Jay, I know we're running on a bit here.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, we're running on a bit. I'll do that next week. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
It's not like I'll
Yeah,
have
I will
much
have
else to
plenty
talk
of
about.
stuff still to talk about.
Jay, time for game time. Game time. Please take us back to the home screen. We're going to start with some Guess Who's review, guys. So, if you don't know somehow about this game, basically, me and Jay take turns each week. We pick a random game review from a random media outlet. We pick 3 random quotes, and they've got to guess the game based on the quotes. The quicker you get it, the more points you get. Jay, what are the scores on the doors?
Oh
As it
God, I
stands?
think it's like 30 something. Hang on.
Are you 35 and I'm 31 or something? Is it that far?
You're on 34. I'm on 33.
How's that?
So
All right,
you're
okay.
one ahead of me at a minute.
It's very tight. It's very tight. So, Jay, I think I might have done this game before, but here we are.
Okay.
Are you
Here's to
ready?
hoping you haven't, but
I think I
yeah,
have. Now I've
let's
done it.
go
But are
for
you
it.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just got to know which order to do it, man. The order is the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm
tough.
looking at now. Um. Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, you ready? Quote number 1. I've tried to be difficult, but I think you yeah, anyway. It's a unique and wonderfully eerie environment to inhabit, like wandering around inside a 3D screenshot, and certainly a stylish space in which to live out your every violent Wachowski inspired whim.
Wow. So immediately it
I'm not going to give you
sounds,
some clues, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
immediately it kind of sounds like a horror game. So I'm hoping I'm on the right, or like at least there's like a horror aspect or like a spooky, you said eerie, right? So the fact that you
Yeah.
said like a 3D screenshot almost makes me feel like there's almost like some sort of like painting or like some sort of like animation type thing going on. Or even maybe something where you can like go inside of a painting, or like inside of a bit of artwork or something. Um, I'm gonna make a guess. I have two guesses in my head. I think one of them is more likely than the other, so I'm gonna go with the one that I think is more likely. And you're probably gonna go, why is this even like a thing? But I have a feeling it might be Murdered Soul Suspect.
Good guess. Not the correct answer, I'm
Damn it!
afraid.
Was
I think I have done that game before, though.
yeah, I can't remember because that's like
Yeah,
one of my favorite games of all time.
it is.
So I was
It
thinking
is.
if Nick
I
does
know
a
that.
game, it's probably one that I know. But
Yes, it is.
okay,
Unlike you, your picks for me.
okay.
Quote number
Well,
2. I joke. I joke. Quote number 2. I'm just gonna move my mic. Blank is an artistically distinct shooter with a compelling and malleable plot and excellent performances from its main players.
damn, that's so vague.
Players meaning characters there, by the way. I'm not trying to trick you.
Read that second one again. Shooter.
Blank is an artistically distinct shooter with a compelling and malleable plot and excellent performances from its main players.
Oh. Okay, so now we go into, is this a multiplayer game or is it a single player game? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Damn.
No. I mean, main players meaning characters, so there's no multiplayer element in there.
Alright.
I mean, I'm giving you. I mean, that's yeah.
I mean,
I'm being
at this
kinder than I
point,
should.
I'm kind of worried that this is a game that I think it is, and I don't really want to say that because we did that very recently. That'd be a bit stupid. Um,
You never know. You
read the
never know.
first quote again.
The first quote. It's a unique and wonderfully eerie environment to inhabit, like wandering around inside a 3D screenshot, and certainly a stylish space in which to live out your every violent Wachowski inspired whim.
So, like the Matrix,
Yeah.
Wachowski. So, Matrix. Okay. No, that would be wrong because it's a multiplayer game. Fuck. Characters. Shooter. Damn. Oh. Is
I will need an
this
answer from you
is
soon,
this
Jay.
Back for Blood?
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
It's not Back for Blood.
Shit.
It's not Back for Blood.
I mean that's a
Okay.
pretty good guess. Characters, shooter. It's fairly eerie. The artistic thing is throwing me off. I can't quite figure out where that's coming into something.
Well, here we go, Jay. Last
Yeah.
quote.
Yeah.
All right. We could have another Fable
I have
2
a
on our
feeling,
hands here.
yeah,
We'll
I'm not
see.
gonna get this. This pisses me off.
Blank opens, as many great sci-fi stories do, with a catastrophic accident in a research lab, one that creates a potentially world-ending fracture in time and imbues both the heroes with time-bending powers. I mean, I'm basically giving you the fucking game, but
Oh. No? Uh, You're throwing me off. There's literally like 2 or 3 games I think this might be that all have very
Right.
very
Okay.
similar to that.
Okay.
One of them being Quantum Break, and I'm like, well, that's similar, but it's not close enough to what you said because there is a time element. Not as I mean, there's a kind of a lab accident element, so that sounds about right. But then you said characters, and I'm like, well,
Well, oh, what you mean? You talking about the second quote or this?
say the
Or the
third
last
quote
one?
again. Fuck me, this is like.
Blank opens as so many great sci-fi stories do, with a catastrophic accident in a research lab, one that creates a potentially world-ending fracture in time and imbues or perhaps infects both the hero and antagonist with time-bending powers. That's me. That's my bad. I did change it up slightly.
Well, it's gonna. I'm sure it's like so obvious right now. Time
What are
bending
your other? What are
powers.
your other like guesses? Have you got any that? Because you said you were multiple. No,
Well, I feel like there is multiple. Time bending.
I was just curious if you had any on the tip of your tongue. That's all.
No, I think my only guess I've got right now is Quantum Break.
Okay, we going with that?
Probably. Yep, it's wrong, but go ahead.
Correct.
Seriously? Fuck me. Jesus.
I think that was a good round.
Honestly, I think that's a bad review. Whoever wrote that review, because it's close, but it's no cigar. Like I don't think they wrote that. I think they wrote that like years after they played the game. It's. Have you played Quantum Break? I know you tried it, but you didn't finish it, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
Dude, it's fucking
finish
fantastic of a game. Jesus Christ. Well, I'm glad I got that. Well, we're now
Jay,
even again. Jesus Christ, 34 to
we
34.
are even. We are even. Pixel Perfect time, Jay. Your favorite. Your favorite.
Okay, hang on. Let me
So
just change
next
the
game,
scores
guys.
so I don't forget.
No problem. Next up, guys, we basically have a very visual game, but the production team have pixelated some cover art for games, and Jay's got to guess them. He will try and tell you what they look like. Alas, sometimes it's a bit difficult. So without further ado, Jay.
Hang on, I've got to find the right.
Oh, it's not looking good. We're all weirded out.
I can't find the. Which one is it? Why can't I find the right screen? I don't think I have the thing anymore. Where is it?
Sharing one?
Oh no, I found it. Jesus Christ, why did that take so long? Okay, we're good to go.
Okay.
Oh, this is weird because this looks something that I know it isn't, but it looks like something else. Okay.
Okay. Go on then. Tell me all. Tell me all.
Yeah, is it Rosario Dawson played that character in the most recent Mandalorian series?
Ahsoka Tano.
No, it's like Osaka. I can't remember her name, whatever it is, but
Ahsoka Tano.
yeah, there you go. That's kind of what that reminds me of. Her hair, sort of like down the side,
Yeah, I get that.
but with a yellow face
yeah.
instead.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
this is probably a PlayStation 1 game, just because it almost looks like you've got like the thing on the left there.
Uh-huh.
I have a feeling it's obviously an older game, but for some reason it's got yellow on it, yellow and blue and white and black. I don't know where all that comes into stuff. I would imagine some sort of like Simpsons thing whenever I see yellow, but I'm also thinking. I mean, Ratchet and Clank wasn't on PS1, was it? PS2 was the first one.
Jay, every week you think it's Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, it's because you're bloody obsessed.
I'll give you a clue.
I genuinely don't know. Yeah, please.
It's one of the biggest franchises on planet Earth.
Yeah, that helps. Final Fantasy. I honestly don't know. If I had to guess, no, it's not. I don't think it's a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasies tend to be white.
I don't think that's that bad of a guess, to be fair. Final Fantasy, personally, but I'll take it as Final Fantasy.
I'm trying to think as like PS1, but if I had to guess, some sort of Final Fantasy or something close to.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I'm afraid not, Jay. It is, in fact, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my god. Jesus
there you go.
Christ.
There
wow,
go,
I haven't seen that logo in a long time. Yeah, that's weird seeing it like that. At least I got the PlayStation bit right. I got to try and think what the theme is now. He's gone with GTA.
Right.
It might be some sort of
Right.
car aspect, maybe.
Next up.
Oh. Oh God. Okay, so it kind of just looks like a lump of flesh. So like a flesh-colored lump in the bottom, and then a blue sky with like some black strewed
Yeah.
around in lines. This one is very, very hard because the pixel is very big, and even if I squint, I can't see fuck all. So, what's going on? You know? Do you know what Jesus Christ! This is so. There's no like indication whether it's like a PS1 or anything. There's no like thing on the side. Like to me, it kind of feels like it could be a later console thing. But I've now got to think of the theme of what GTA is a thing. So maybe it's like it can't. I don't think it's another GTA because other GTAs have that very specific front cover to them.
Yeah. Which you've had before on this.
So I'd have, yeah, I was gonna
game.
say I'd kind of have to go with like maybe something that's to do with cars, or even like maybe, fuck, it just hit me. Oh my god, it just hit me. This is Red Dead Revolver. Is that what it's called? Or Gun? Is it? It might even be Gun. Whatever the first Red Dead game was called. It's the guy on the front with the pistol doing this, doing the ba 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 ba. He's got the hat and there's, yeah, there it is.
On.
Yes.
Spot
Right, Rockstar.
on.
Rockstar is the theme. Rockstar is the theme. Holy crap.
Spot on. Well done, Jay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
That
remembered
was
it. I
awesome.
was like, oh my god, it hit me. Rockstar, it hit me.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I had a
Okay.
feeling it was called Red Dead Revolver. I was trying to remember what the name of it was, but yeah.
My
Okay.
brother had this game, I believe,
Yeah, great
before we knew anything about Red Dead Redemption. So
Oh,
we were
yeah,
like, oh
100%.
my god, we're getting a sequel.
No,
to,
Gun was
you
my
know,
main thing. Gun was like the first game I played.
Gun-
And then I
Gun's
was like, oh, Red
sick.
Dead's a thing? Okay.
Gun is a great
Yeah,
game.
Red Dead Revolver
Last
was
up-
like just
Oh.
before us, I'd say, right? What
You
year
mean like
did-
our peak?
Well, sort of like our, I don't know, initiation, I guess you call it, or our like awakening, evolution, gaming evolution, whatever you
Yeah,
wanna
for
call it.
sure. This was one of my brother's games
I remember
that he
seeing
had.
it,
And
but-
he had so many PS2 games. Like, I felt like he had just a whole library more than I ever did.
Sure.
I think he was playing the PS2 like consistently. I think he was playing the PS2 more consistently because like even when we got the Xbox and GameCube, I feel like he was still playing the PS2 more. And obviously he played
Sure.
the PS3 and I played the 360.
I mean, the
so,
PS2 is
yeah.
legendary. There's a reason why it sold so many.
Yeah, it's got some. Yeah, there's a whole library of games in there. So
I'm glad I got that. Oh, this
last
is
up,
easy.
Jay. Oh,
That-
he knows.
Okay, I'm going to describe it just so we, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a black background with what looks like something that's being like lit up, or even like a face, or like just a really weird white and red kind of like line going in a diagonal. Yeah, this is Manhunt, I think. Maybe Manhunt 2, but I'm going to guess Manhunt 1 more maybe.
Correct.
Yeah, the banned game, as it were. I mean, this is
Right.
basically Saw before Saw, you know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Saw might have even been influenced by this game.
Jay, what are your thoughts on reflecting on a game like this? Because at the time, it was obviously the edgy, cool thing. Looking back, it almost does seem like they were just doing it to try and push the boundaries. I don't know what
Oh,
your thoughts
100%.
are.
It was all about pushing boundaries. I mean, it's a Rockstar game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rockstar are fairly known for being R-rated, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Rockstar. Yeah, I feel like they're just sort of known for maybe, you know, not shying away from things, any sort of subject. So, right up their alley, you know.
Did you ever play the Warriors game that they did? Because it's quite a
Dude.
cult classic.
Dude, can't believe you just brought that up. I cannot believe you just brought that up. One of my favourite games of all time.
Is it that good?
My God, I played that game hundreds of hours. Hundreds. And I couldn't prove it because it was on a measure of Xbox I don't have anymore. Dude, it's funny. I haven't even seen the movie, but I played the game so much.
Oh my god! Right.
I need to watch the movie really bad, but I'm worried that if I watch it, it won't hold up.
Me too. Me too.
Like, oh crap!
The
it might not do
poster's
that well.
iconic. So do you think the game will hold up, or?
All I remember it being a lot like GTA. But I didn't. I
Right.
really
Okay.
didn't. I forgot the fact that it was Rockstar. That's probably why. Like it looked. It's weird. The Warriors game was very similar to San Andreas in terms of like graphics. So, I mean, San
Okay.
Andreas holds up. So whatever in that case.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. All right, Jay, take us home.
Cool. Hang on. You're gonna want to stop sharing. There we go. With it. Okay.
All right, Jay, gonna finish up with a quote that I really liked. I might have said this quote before, but knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
Yeah, I feel like this is becoming more and more prevalent as I get older.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Well, Jay, what's frustrating about knowing yourself is that no matter how many times people tell you before the age of 23, let's say, I
Specific.
just didn't understand what they meant, because you have to get a balance of loving yourself, but also and treating yourself, with respect, but at the same time enjoying life and not taking yourself too seriously. And it's hard, I find. And like people say, accept yourself and know yourself, and it's good to do that, but at the same time it's hard to do that, I think.
I feel like if I could have my own quote, one thing I've learned recently, and as I've gotten older, is that happiness is for the ignorant and the dumb, not for us. It's for the the ignorant and the dumb and the rich, not for us.
You made that quote up?
Well, no, I don't know. It just seems like my experience so far.
I think that's a fantastic
I've only tell you what, the
quote.
only time I've ever been happy in my life is when I've been ignorant to the truth,
Yes.
and that's the truth. So there we are. Just pretend to be
I think
stupid, or just genuinely be stupid, and you'll be alright. Or get a fuck ton of money, whatever comes first.
this is going to sound horrible, right? But to be frank about it, a lot of media, breads and circuses, they're put out there because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who... There's more stupid people than there's not stupid people. I don't mean that as an insult. It's just the way the world is.
Yeah,
If
there's
it
a lot of
wasn't
people who
that
don't.
way,
I don't know about stupid. Maybe just ignorant, just not unaware.
fair enough.
Misinformed is another word for that.
Uninformed, misinformed,
One of my
ignorant,
favourite quotes of all time.
lazy.
You're either uninformed or misinformed.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington. Yeah. Do you understand that? Do you understand what I mean by that?
No.
Well, let me say it again. You're either uninformed or misinformed, as in there's no truth.
Are you...
Because everyone's hiding it. They're either telling you a lie or you don't know about the truth anyway. You're either ignorant to it or you've been told a lie.
Yeah.
That's just all it ever is. I love how this is a gaming podcast, by the way. We like to get philosophical at the end.
I was gonna say, dude, after doing the degree and like spending time with people who frankly lacked any sort of sense, I stepped away from that. But it's nice to come back into it. It's nice to come back into it and just have a bit of a discussion, because for years you'd have that like, oh, I don't want to talk about philosophy, I want to go out and fucking drink. But then people almost come back, right? When we start getting into this mid-20s crisis, people start coming back in the fold, And it's nice to end it with you as well, because I know you're philosophical anyway. Obviously.
Yeah, I like to think about that stuff. It can be fun. Definitely.
All right, Jay. Appreciate your time. I think this has been, for whatever reason, an excellent podcast. Good stuff. Hopefully I'll catch you at some point over the weekend, though I know it's getting rarer. But to be fair, you're doing your mobile stuff and that. So
hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about next week too. Because that is honestly my one worry with this podcast, is that we'll just run out of things to talk about sometimes.
Nah, because my thinking is, Jay, when we haven't got games to talk about, we can talk about wider gaming discussions like
speculation, basically.
Yeah.
Just like the commentary of the gaming community rather than what's actually going on or whatever it might be.
And also, we haven't talked about past stuff for a while, so
Yeah, we could always come back to that. That's true. We still need to make lists. I don't want to make some lists.
Do it.
I actually kind of want to do a thing where we do like a rotating list or like a check-in, where like what's our favorite of like for like the over the last 6 months. Like if we have like a top 10, has anything changed? You know, like whenever there's an update, make an update on the podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
We need to do that. We need to have a whole podcast of just chatting about why our top 10 is the way. We need to have like a presentation almost, you know, and go through the list. Like why is it, you know, personal stuff, whatever it might be.
That I'm taking that feedback on board.
Good, because we need to do that eventually.
I understand.
Set that up.
Leave it with the production team. That's all good.
Good stuff.
All right, Jay. Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
have a good weekend, everyone, or whenever the hell you're listening to this, and we will catch you next time. Au revoir.
Peace.